Hey guys, welcome to the latest episode of Beyond the Tape. This episode's going to be a bit of a different one. We're chatting with a guy in the media industry, which is, I think, the first Australian media guy we've chatted to, which is rad. Before we move on to that though, let's talk about our sponsors. Of course, we've got Canyon on board. They've been huge for 2021. Their range of bikes is just getting better and better. While we all love those kind of high-end e-bikes, you know, your Sender downhill bike, they all look sweet. They've just released that new Stoic at the start of the year as well. The Stoic is an alloy hardtail, entry-level, kind of $1,200 to $1,300 hardtail. Even though it is that kind of entry-level bike, it is absolutely sick. It's got the geometry to go on cross-country rides, but it's also got the ability to go to the dirt jumps afterwards. You can race downhill, you can do epic all-mountain rides, you can do whatever you want on this pretty much. In fact, Aaron Peltari, Troy's mechanic, has built up a sick AXS pike-equipped looking rig over on his Instagram, so go and check that out. It's pretty sick. I can't wait to see what Baxter does on his as well. To keep all their suspension running perfectly, I mean, they're probably doing it themselves, but they should send it to NSDynamics, Australia's primary premium suspension servicing company. Just got a set of fork backs and they're sitting over there. Buttery smooth within 24 hours of being there. Absolutely fast turnaround. Sent it away on Monday. It was back today. So you don't have to be without riding, especially if you're working. You're not riding anyway. Pack it up on Sunday, send it on Monday, put it back on Friday and straight on Saturday. It's a sick little system and it's the best service you can possibly get. If you're finding a little bit of less traction on your pedals and you're trying to struggle for grip, hit up to Up Bike Co. Get those Factor pedals. They are sick. I can pretty much ride in these sandals that I'm wearing right now and have more grip than 510s. Been absolutely loving them. Can't wait to get a set of the Factor hubs as well. Amazing points of engagement. Super simple design. Really easy to work on. Really love those Factor hubs and can't wait to get a set. Next up, you've got Huck the World. Huck the World have been on since pretty much day one. They're tech tees. This guy's an original. It's still kicking on somehow. This thing's been through a lot. Yeah, love their stuff. Go over there, use Beyond the Tape, get 10% off of all their kit. They're coming out with some new kit soon and it's going to be sick. You've got, we've also got Dirt Surfer on board as well, 100% Australian made, 100% recycled material and 100% recyclable. Custom designs as well. So if you are sick of handing out business cards for your shop or having race plates, you want race mudguards, hit up Dirt Surfer and they'll be able to do a sick deal for you and get you rolling. Mustn't forget Fist Handwear as well. Those guys are going to be on the tape code. So does Dirt Surfer actually, both giving you 15% off. And the guys at Crush are going to come on board and help us out as well. So thanks to all those sponsors. It's pretty sick to have all those guys on board. And 2 years ago, I thought I'd never been on this position or be chatting with any of them. So pretty rad little experience. Thanks so much, guys. Anyway, let's move on to the next episode. It is with Nick Waygood Photography. He is not full of himself. That is his actual name. I went to the census data. I've been through all the birth records and have confirmed that his name is actually Waygood. He's a young photographer. He's only 23, but he's gone full-time this year, shoots for A&B, has a bunch of cool clients and shoots some cool stuff. We talk about how he got into bikes, how he got into photography, starting photography on his old iPod, and then what he's kind of up to now and his camera kit, of course. We got a bit nerdy. Anyway, this is a pretty rad chat. Grab a beer, grab water, grab wine, grab whatever makes you happy and enjoy it.
Everyone's nervous for some reason, but we've literally chatted shit so many times at events, like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Camera in front of my face and the little recording thing.
Yeah, the little red dot. Easy, man. Nick Waygood, do you want to kind of tell us about who you are?
So my name's Nicholas Waygood. I'm a 23-year-old freelance photographer, professional, I suppose. It is my only job now. I went freelance as of this year. I quit the bar job, coming into the end of the COVID times, I guess. And now I kind of work as a mountain biking photographer and also dabble in kind of commercial product stuff and whatever I can really get my hands on to get by.
Sick. So you're working the bar job.
So yeah. So I was working a bar job for 4 years up until the end of last year, and resigned on Boxing Day. Went on holiday, but that was mainly just to kind of make ends meet, and it was a fun job to work as well. The people were really awesome to work with. All the management was really good to work with. So I don't really have anything bad to say about working in a bar. It's kind of just what you have to do to make the weekly wage and pay for your holidays and your trips to Whistler and everything.
Yeah. Pay for your camera equipment so you
all
kind of get all set up.
Equipment, all the see like our costs are double because we buy the nice bikes, but then we spend the same amount of money on our camera gear as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's something I'm coming to terms with.
Yeah.
You just got to keep spending money sometimes. Was that a pretty big, like, daunting leap to jump like into photography full time, or?
Yes. Yeah. It was something coming into start of last year before COVID was kind of an international thing. Like, you heard about it in China and everything. But it was all, oh, it's the flu, it's nothing dramatic. I was getting ready to resign from the bar probably around when we went to do Bright National Champs, which is March last. Just like flat out getting bookings and getting all these other jobs aside from mountain biking as well. So I was really busy, and figured the best way to deal with it was to either slow down on the bar work or just full on resign and take the leap. And then COVID hit, and I was like, all right, let's slow down for a minute. All my events, all my jobs just got cancelled. Not making any money. Let's figure out what we're going to do for the next 6 to 12 months while the world figures itself out. But yeah, then things kind of eased up a bit. The booking started coming back in. All the events started kicking off again coming into this year. And I figured it's time to just do it. I was flat out working 20 to 30 hours a week at the bar, and then spending every waking minute on photography and working that as well. So I thought, take a bit of a load off and just full on send it.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, exactly right. And then I don't think for me, it didn't really set in until February, maybe a month or two into it, when it was kind of like I had a couple quiet weeks, and I was like, right, what do I do to make money? Like, how can I pay for my weekly spendings when I'm not working at a bar anymore? I was like, ooh, this isn't good. I've got to figure something out. And I don't know, you just end up working through it. It's kind of like you can't quit 2 months into doing something like that, I suppose. You kind of just work through it, and it all figures itself out in the end because you naturally just keep on working.
Yeah, it seems like you need a natural proactivity to be able to be successful. Yeah. Like, you can't just wait for stuff to come to you.
No, exactly not. Exactly right.
If we wind back the clock a little bit though, like, you're obviously into mountain biking a bit, right? How did you kind of get into the sport and the scene and everything?
So we went to high school in South Canberra, and if you or anyone else knows Canberra locations, Tuggeranong Pines was just up the road from where we went to high school. And one afternoon, one of the new friends I made a couple of months prior was like, oh, I've heard of these bike trails up in the mountains. I just bought a new bike for riding to and from school, and we were like, all right, I don't see why not. We got time to burn. It's summer, why not? So we rode up the highway, went to these bike trails up in the pine forest, and that's kind of just where it started. And we just started going more and more regularly. Bikes started breaking, and then we were like, all right, so we need to get better bikes. So we spent more on better bikes, and then we're like, right, Mum and Dad can't pay several $1,000s for these things that keep on breaking anyway, and then you get jobs. So got a job at Target just to make money and buy more bikes. And I don't think I didn't really get into photography for a good year or two.
Yeah.
Just riding my bike, having fun, dealing with everything you do in high school as well. And yeah.
Did you get racing or anything like that, or was it always just like a pure fun thing?
I did race for a few years locally, the Canberra Off-Road Cyclist Downhill Series, when that was a thing.
Yeah.
They tried to kick it back off, but it's just downhill's a kind of dying sport in Canberra, I guess.
Yeah, right.
A way to put it. It's all enduro in Canberra at the moment, which is good because I've got a good enduro series going on as well. But yeah, did a bit of downhill racing, bought downhill bikes. The last downhill bike I owned was a 2008 Giant Glory, black and white. That thing was an absolute tank.
Yep.
But yeah, I was never that good at the racing. I kind of just did it for a social aspect with friends, and also it was local clubby kind of stuff. So it wasn't anything really to stress about. It was just a whole lot of fun for a Sunday, riding bikes and getting times and competing against your friends as well.
Bragging rights for the next time you'll catch up, right?
Yeah, I never got the bragging rights.
Why do you think the downhill series, like scene in Canberra, is not kicking off? Just kind of tangent here, but
there's just like we've got a few good hills in Canberra. I guess the biggest downside to it is we don't have big hills.
Yeah, okay.
Like Mount Stromlo is the biggest, and it's only 170 meters of vert. We're trying to push the government into spending more money on a bike park, probably about 20 minutes from Stromlo. That's 300 to 400 vert and steep and good. But that's just something that's a work in progress. So it's not to say that downhill's never going to be a thing again. It's kind of just everyone's gone to this enduro thing, and now the enduro club rounds are 200 people sold out each round,
which is pretty big for Canberra.
But that's really big. Like we had Josh Carlson coming along to quite a few of them as well through COVID, and a lot of Canberrans, but also out of towners and from Wollongong and Sydney and Cooma and the rest. But yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I was just wondering because we had like a race on the weekend. I think we had 47 elites. I think we had 13.
What was that?
Sorry?
Downhill race?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had 47 elite at a South Australian like downhill race.
That's like that's like national champs numbers.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And I think there was like 20 novice. And
see, that's and that's the thing. Like, it's not like downhill's a dying sport in Australia at all. It's like Victoria's got it really well. South Australia, Adelaide, you've got heaps of numbers coming to your local races, and it's just, I suppose we just don't really have the terrain for it anymore.
You guys just need to grow some hills.
Yeah, just need to grow some hills, move some dirt around.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike Ross would be keen for that.
Yeah, he's keen on slinging a shovel, isn't he? And flipping the dirt. Absolutely.
So you were racing for a while there and doing all that type of thing. What kind of attracted you to the photography side? Was it because you weren't winning, or?
It was probably around the same time we were kind of racing a bit as a group of friends. We're also filming all these little iPhone or iPods. Sorry, we didn't have iPhones back then. We had little iPods that we had our parents buy us, and we'd film little edits on those, put them together, put them on YouTube, and kind of just developed our skills from there. There was a few of us that were kind of pulling all our content or all our videos and photos together to make these edits, and that just, I guess, slowly progressed into starting to actually take photos on the iPods, and it was like, well, iPods aren't actually that spectacular
No.
to take photos and videos on. So I was like, right, bigger cameras and more money. And Mum's like, I've got this little point and shoot. I think it was a Panasonic or something. Started shooting with that, and then Mum and Dad realized, oh, this could actually be something for him. So they helped me out a bit and bought me my first camera, a Canon 600D, around the same time that one of my other mates, who used to film a lot, bought a 600D as well. And so we were just shooting photos and taking videos of each other in the pine forest and all that group of friends, and we'd kind of make all these silly GoPro edits as well at the races, and all of this stuff still exists on YouTube somewhere, unfortunately, but
I'm gonna hunt it.
It's all really cool to look back on. We still look back on them every now and then and be like, oh yeah, it's really cool to see how we've come from these 12-year-old kids to what we are now. And
yeah, especially from like an iPhone to
yeah,
what are you on now, like a 1DX? Like it's a little bit of an upgrade.
iPod to a 1DX Mark II is my main workhorse now. After about 11 years of doing it.
Oh yeah, you just got to stack it up, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's all worth it.
Were you just doing it for like your own fun and stuff like that, or did you have any goals or anything? Or
at the time, like this is still high school when we were starting to film. Like we started bike riding year 8. Probably by year 10, we started making these little edits and filming all these things on our iPods. And it was just for fun. It was just like when you're riding down a trail and you do something cool and be like, oh, it'd be cool to get a photo of that. It's like we're in such a good group of friends that we just be like, all right, let's do a photo real quick because we've got our iPods in our pockets, and we just go out and have fun. I didn't make money off photography for probably 5 or 6 years. It probably took that long for it to click with me that maybe this actually could be something that you could make money off. But it was all just for fun. Yeah.
Was Instagram even around then? Like, was the social medias and stuff, or
I think it was just
MySpace?
Yeah, MySpace was definitely MySpace. I opened up Skype just then to see all the old chats from 2015. I was like, oh, okay, right. Yeah, Instagram was only just becoming a thing, I think, around then. Certainly getting a lot more popular. Snapchat as well. And we didn't really use Instagram to post photos of each other, or like what you do now is you post photos of yourself for likes and that marketing kind of side of things as well. We just took photos when we're out and about and uploaded them just like your standard 2008 Facebook story posts where you'd go, oh, who's up? What about you?
No, that's rad. It's definitely a whole different beast now. Hey, it's like it's so much easier for people to kind of break through.
Yeah. It's probably and like there were people before me, or people around now that were doing it longer before me as well. But I think back and like how easy it is to get into mountain biking, get into photography or videography. Like there are so many other tools that you could use as marketing to advertise your product and get clients and get money if that's what you want to do. If it's just a hobby, it's just a hobby for fun as well. And there's definitely nothing wrong with that.
Don't have to make money out of everything.
No, yeah.
It would be good, but you don't have to.
It is good fun. Yeah, like putting a value on something, no matter what it is, it kind of shows your appreciation to the product as well, I guess, which is good. But I still do jobs every now and then for friends, or take a few photos for friends just for fun, just to get out of the house, just to, if I'm not too busy. And I certainly don't make any money out of that, and I'm happy to not make any money out of it. Like they're always like, "Oh, we'll pay for beers, we'll buy you lunch." I'm like, "Oh, it's fine. Just
Yeah.
take the photos, appreciate them. It's all good. Credit me on Instagram."
Yeah. Yeah. Who wouldn't do that?
Yeah.
Who did what was I going to say? So you would have been digital straight from the get-go, right? You never shot film?
No, I didn't shoot film until I went to photography school. It was all straight away onto the point and shoot iPod or straight into Canon DSLRs. Yeah, I went to photography school at CIT, which is New South Wales' TAFE, or the rest of Australia's TAFE. And yeah, we did a 6-month course there on film, and it was fun to learn, but I did it there and forgot about it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's yeah.
It's definitely a different medium, hey.
It's very different to just taking a photo, plugging it in, and now it's on your computer. It was all like film is all have you ever shot film?
A little bit way back. Yeah.
So it's all like you don't see the photos for weeks if you don't get into the dark room, and then if you stuff it up in the dark room, you never see your photos. You have to go reshoot them, and
it's a whole nother ball game.
Very different. I'm a big fan of the Kodak disposables. When I holiday to Italy in 2019 before COVID, and took a couple Kodak disposables, shot like 50 photos over 2 weeks, and got back, forgot about them for an entire year until I was cleaning my room. And I was like, "Oh, these things, I forgot about these." Sent them off. They came back, and the photos are like, it's a different look to what you can get straight out of a DSLR. So yeah, I'm a big fan of taking Kodak disposables around and shooting holiday photos with those, and just kind of unique moments, I guess.
Just fun, like quick photos.
Nothing. And I suppose with film, it kind of makes you think more about what you shoot as well. Because with like Kodak disposables, you've only got 20 something shots, 24, I think. With film rolls, it's something like a dozen photos to a roll.
I think so. It depends on the roll.
Yeah, it depends on the roll. So I really like that it kind of makes you think about what you capture, and it makes you think about setting the exposure right, because it's like on DSLRs, you overexpose by half a stop or something, or 2/3 of a stop, and you go, "Oh, I'll just fix it in post. It's fine. I'll just fix it in Lightroom." In film, like, you can't do that.
No.
Which I really liked about shooting film. I just like where I wanted to go with photography wasn't like, "Oh, I'm going to be shooting film photos of mountain bikers and weddings," but yeah.
When you why did you choose to go to photography school? Like, was it just because you wanted that kind of personal teaching opportunity? I mean, like, it's not hard to find lessons online and stuff like that now.
Yeah, I suppose because it was after college, I took a gap year. I just worked all gap year. I didn't actually go on any European holiday that every other teenager does out of college. And I just found that, like, in my gap year, photography is what I wanted to do. So I was like, all right, do you study for it or do you teach yourself? And it kind of seemed like a more logical answer to just go to school for it. It was only 1.5 years as well that I did for a diploma. And it was like 4 to 5 days a week, 12 hours each day in computer labs or in studio. And it kind of just helped me again realize that photography is what I wanted to do, and that I was half decent at it as well. And so it just seemed like the kind of logical way to go about it, I guess. I tried to, and I still well, I tried to kind of teach myself photography, but there's only so much you can learn online as well.
Mm.
And the course I did in Canberra is like one of the best in Australia as well. There's only a few kind of Australian photography courses you can do at a school. Yeah.
Was there? I guess you would have had to do a broad range of like tasks and shoots and stuff like that, right? Like you
Yeah.
couldn't have just shot mountain bikes for the whole year and a half.
No, certainly not. It was all very heavy studio portraiture, flash lighting. That was definitely a big aspect of it, learning post-production as well. And then there's also teaching kind of the business side of it. A lot of the business side of it was teaching how do you quote for weddings, and it was all very wedding focused, the business side, which is good that it translates over to other styles of photography, or just running a photography business. But then we also did a unit where we did a lot of landscape, real estate, vehicle photography, kind of shooting on location, being creative with portraits on location in studio. So I definitely valued going to photography school. I kind of, the whole unit or the whole course was a advanced diploma. I got a year and a half into the 2 years and just thought like I was getting to the point where I'd learned everything I'd want to learn or that I could learn for what I wanted to do in photography. So I was like, all right, let's wrap up here. I've got all these savings. Months later, was in Whistler taking photos of Whistler crankworks and riding bikes and having a good time on holiday.
Yeah, sick.
Fun. Yeah.
That business side of things seems pretty important. Like, did it kind of give you an idea how to quote like your first projects and stuff? Because that's like the hardest thing, all right? It's that first quote.
And like not underselling yourself as well. I suppose so, because there's like in a running a business, and what they taught us is that there's a cost to doing or to running a business before you actually start running the business. That's all of your subscriptions to Dropbox and magazines and paying for running a business or starting a business essentially. And then that comes down to your yearly expenses. So it was really good to kind of learn that side of things, that you had to charge an amount of money just to get by or just to break even. And then it's like you add in how much you want to make in the year and then figure out how many hours you want to work in a year and break that down to your hourly rate. So it was definitely, and it's still something that I'm kind of teaching myself or figuring out as I go, not to undersell yourself, and still providing a good product for not overcharging for it as well.
Yeah, because there's two ways you can go. You can undercut yourself and get into the business, but I guess undercutting others as well. Or you go, I want to work 5 hours in the year and want to make $1 million. Like, there's two ways.
Charge $1 million an hour. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's definitely a trap. Did you ever fall down that trap of like undercutting yourself and doing things too cheap, or?
Certainly when I started.
Yeah.
I didn't, like, this is before photography school. This is late high school, or probably more college, when I started kind of making a couple bucks out of it. I just started taking photos. I put them online into a kind of online album that you could put your photos into a shopping cart, buy them for, I think I charged something like $5 for a low res photo. I had no idea what I was doing. And like, not to say $5 for a low res photos too cheap or too high or something, but certainly learned very quickly the value that people get out of photos and that they're willing to pay a little bit for it.
Yeah.
And doing that, just selling rider photos from, I got myself to national champs and to Cannonball Festival when it first became a thing. I think I got to the second or third Cannonball Festival and been to everyone ever since. And just doing those rider photos things, and eventually got noticed by other photographers, and they're like, hey, like, your prices are too cheap. And it kind of became maybe a bad thing to price them too cheap, because I was undermining their work, which was kind of like standardly priced. So I was like, all right, so I've got to think about how do I stay competitive, but also not charge too low that I'm not ruining their business, but I'm still making money. And I'm doing this when I'm 16 and 17, well, probably 17 years old when I first got my driver license.
Mm.
So I was still a very young kid running around without a head on.
Because if you had like everyone was charging $5 for a low res photo, the industry would die like straight away. It's simple. Yeah. So was your like big first overseas trip Crankworks Whistler then, you mentioned before?
Yes, for photography it was. I remember in photography school they took us on a holiday to Indonesia for a week and a half, and that was just a kind of photography trip, touring around, speaking Indonesian, trying to. Indonesia was very cool to see, but yeah, certainly first time traveling overseas with a bike bag, longest holiday overseas or time overseas as well. I think I was 2018 would have been 19, maybe 20 years old.
Yeah.
And yeah, first time overseas with a camera. Got there a week before Crankworks, so did a whole bunch of bike riding, did a little bit of photo shooting with Danny Beecroft and Harriet Burbage Smith back then.
Cool.
And I just re-uploaded some of the photos from back then on Instagram for a little bit of a throwback.
Yep.
And yeah, just had a good week, and then it was Crankworks time. Got a media pass through A&B magazine because I was started doing work for them maybe a year prior. And that was just like, we don't have a lot of money, but we can give you a lot of money, a little bit of money, just to do a few race reports, get you that media pass so you can still get up on the hill.
Yeah.
And it was a really good experience. Yeah.
It's a bit of a thrown in the deep end type of experience, right?
Yes, definitely. And I first realized I got thrown into the deep end when I got to Vancouver and the apparently organized bus up to Whistler, which if you've never been to Whistler, it's about a 2 or hour and a half bus ride from Vancouver to Whistler. Got to Vancouver to find out the people holding names up didn't have my name on them, so I was freaking out as a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
And I walked up to the information desk and I was like, I'm meant to have a bus to catch. I think it leaves in like 5 or 10 minutes and I don't know what to do. Like, and they're like, oh, what company was it? This company? Oh, just step over here. There's that lady. I'm like, oh my God.
Yep.
This is real. And then, yeah, starting to shoot Whistler Crankworks as well. It is an absolutely enormous event. It's 11 days of shooting. The first event we shot was EWS, actually. So I'm up on the hill at like 2,000 meters elevation over this massive mountain range with my camera, freaking out like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. I'm doing what I do now.
Yeah.
Were you able to kind of live in that moment though? Like, I guess a lot of people get over there, do all their work, get home, and then they don't really take the time to experience it.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was there for just over 3 weeks in total. So had a little bit of holiday time in between. And it was good to have that holiday time in between as well, because that's when I could experience a bit more, when it wasn't just me working to take photos but then also, like, for me, taking photos is such an enjoyable thing to do that, like, I was kind of living in the moment a little bit, just by being there. But certainly, like, that first few days of Crankworks, when I'm up on the top of the mountain looking over top of the world, I'm like pinching myself.
Yeah.
This is real. And there's like Mad Dog Boris over there, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" and having a chat, and all the other media guys that go to those big events that you see all over the place.
Did you get more starstruck by the photographers than you do from the riders?
I think an equal amount.
Yeah, okay.
Like a few days out from Crankworks starting off, all your elite riders show up, and I get onto the chairlift, and there's a few of them speaking German or French or something, and it's Janon, the canyon, or used to be a canyon rider.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, a little bit starstruck here as an Australian little child.
Yeah.
Lift with Janon and 3 other friends. And they're like, "Oh, how are you going?" I'm like, "Good, good.
Yeah.
I'm great. This is real. You
Yeah.
people exist."
You guys actually speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird experience. I definitely get it.
I very quickly, like, it didn't take long after that to realize that these like pro level athletes are just people. And their job is to just ride bikes, and they have a lot of fun doing it, obviously, because they just keep on doing it and keep on doing it. Much the same that working as a photographer is just heaps of fun, so you just keep on doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that whole they're just people thing takes a while to settle in.
I think one of my mentors introduced me to Caroline Buchanan.
Yep.
And we're still friends, and that was the kind of first realization that, oh, they are just they're just normal people. And I was like, okay, right, it's time to stop being this anxious little child.
Yeah. Well, if you're a super fan, it just gets
it doesn't make it any easier as well.
Yeah. Especially if you're filming and then you're on the side of the track and you just want to holler at these people, but you can't get onto your microphone.
Yeah, and it just picks it all up and you're going, oh my God.
Yeah. So what events did you kind of shoot at Crankworks? Was it everything?
I just shot everything. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All week long it was EWS, dual slalom, joyride was really cool to shoot. Canadian Open downhill was really cool to shoot because, like, throughout the whole week, I slowly met more and more of those top media guys, and became friends with them, and they kind of helped me out with pointers of kind of like what to do, where to shoot, how to behave around other media as well, in a way of being respectful to other people around you. So it was, cool.
Did you get yelled out by Sven?
No, I only met Sven very momentarily. I think it was the end of the Garbo race.
Okay.
And I'm like walking my bike down the Garbo downhill, which is like if Medina National Champs was a double black diamond, this is like triple or quadruple black diamond. Yeah. Like, this is gnarly shit, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Got down the bottom of the first section, and this guy pulls up, like Santa Cruz V10 full face, and he's like, "Oh, if you just go this way and this way, like that's how you get down the bottom." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." And I'm like, "Hang on, I know that voice," because by then I'd become a massive Sven Martin fan.
Yeah.
I was like, "Are you Sven Martin?" He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm Nick. Nice to meet you." And he's like, "Oh, nice to meet you too."
Yeah.
That was a really cool experience to kind of meet one of the people I looked up to for so long and still look up to him.
Yeah. Is there like what's the kind of media etiquette at something like a World Cup or like at Crankworks? Was it kind of hard to learn or?
Not really. You kind of, main thing, and still something I carry on through shooting national champs and shooting Cannonball and shooting other events is being mindful that other media are there and they probably don't want you in the background of their shot. And certainly at Whistler, these guys are making a lot more money and have much more serious clients than me working for a small magazine back home and just mainly working for myself. So I was kind of like, all right, these guys get like first claim of the spot, I guess. And yeah, just kind of like helping other media around. It wasn't me, but there was one other media was low on AA batteries for his little pocket wizard. Yelled out, "Who's got batteries?" Another media just handed it over, and it's like that's the kind of stuff that I still carry on. Just helping each other out because we're all on the same team, really, and just trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, you're not all fighting for the one shot. Yeah,
I certainly think it's I certainly think we're on the same team and just help each other out where you can and have a good time with each other as well, and not be like when you're stressed out about working and taking photos and getting the shot and everything, and at the end of the day, it's just have a good chat, have a beer, calm your nerves down a bit more, and go edit for about 9 hours.
Yeah. So after that kind of experience, what was it like coming back to shoot in Australia and be back at the Australian events? Because it's probably like 1/10 of the size. Yeah.
That was 2018. So yeah, came home in late August. And it wasn't a few months until Cannonball was running in December. But certainly getting back to Cannonball, it's like good to be back at a big event, but you certainly realize like the world is a lot bigger than a biggest or second or tied for second biggest event in Australia alongside national champs. So it's kind of eye-opening to what Australia could become, which like even 3 years ago now, it's certainly grown exponentially, and I'm looking forward to how mountain biking Australia is going to look post-COVID now that so many more people have bought bikes and so many more people are into the sport. Well,
it's definitely growing, hey? Like it's definitely getting bigger.
Like my local trails are Mount Stromlo, and like from pre-COVID to post-COVID, or even during COVID, it's like the only thing people could do was ride bikes. So we all just got out into the hills and rode bikes, but so did about 1,000 other Canberrans.
Yeah. That's all of Canberra, right?
Well, yeah, that's the population of Canberra is 1,001, so it was one person stayed at home.
Everyone else flies in, don't they?
Yeah. But yeah, it was like, right, this is finally happening. Like mountain biking is becoming more of a thing in Australia. When like I talked to friends I know who were mountain biking back in the late 90s, and they're like kind of mentor people to me, and they're like, right, yeah, like we started the Pump Truck National Champs in Canberra, which is a suburb two suburbs over from me. I'm like wow, why didn't mountain biking kick off more after that, and after World Champs as well in 2008 and 9, I think. 2 years at Stromlo. But yeah, it's exciting to see that it's finally happening and getting a bit more recognition from overseas companies. And
I think the events are getting better as well, because it seems like the brands are taking that money and that extra interest in investing them in the events, and promotions are getting better. Like National Champs this year was sick. Like that event as a whole was amazing.
Yeah. And certainly after a big year of sitting inside all day, every day, getting to National Champs at Medina and realizing like this is a well-organized event. And maybe it's because brands have gotten behind it, or maybe it's because finally realized maybe we need to kind of act a bit more on organizing events properly and running them properly. But yeah.
Definitely think there's more room though, but yeah, it's going to be sick.
There's always space to grow, and it's never like you kind of get to a point where it's like, right, there's nothing else we can do now because we've reached the top. Because there is the top. You kind of just keep on pushing for more and more.
That's it. So you came back from Whistler and then you were shooting some local events and stuff. When was the time you started seeing more and more kind of, I guess, paid work from the industry start to come in?
Not for a lot of my work at the time was focused around A&B mag, just doing product reviews and shooting the events here and there for them, even local club races or the bigger events as well. I suppose kind of at the time I wasn't that recognized outside of the magazine. I was still kind of going around introducing myself to more and more people, trying to meet more people and trying to kind of grow on that client base that I had. And yeah.
How'd you kind of go about building it though? Like, was there any specific way or?
Not, yeah. For me, it was just going to events, talking to people, and you eventually talk to someone and they're like, oh, I actually run this company. Or
yeah.
It's like, okay, right. Like, let's do something. Or your friend's got a contact in one of the local importers or something, and they mention to their friend, oh, we need photos. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I know this photographer. His name's Nick Waygood. And they're like, okay, well, let's give him a go. And that certainly still happens. In the mountain biking, I rarely have to kind of search for work.
Yeah.
More of just touching base with old clients and previous clients and seeing if they want to do something more or if they're ever interested or anything, and certainly keeping an eagle eye out for events that pop up, and then just going back to the clients, do you need photos for this event?
Yeah.
And they usually say yes, and then you just build a few clients for a big event. I think I shot for 4 or 5 clients at national champs this year, which was good fun, a lot of work. But yeah, just like building on that client base to get more work.
How hard was it for you to balance like shooting for 5 clients at Maydeen, or is it pretty hard? Or
it was it's a lot of organizing and then also just being there for the moment, because it's like a lot of the clients were just after photos of their riders or something, downhill or XC. So I just had to be there for the moment, get those photos, get some kind of photos around the pits as well for a couple clients, and but then also get all of the race report. I wasn't writing the race reports, but I was shooting for the race reports.
Yeah.
For the magazine as well. So it was about like 12 to 15 hours of up on the hill, and then 5 to 6 hours of editing, bunch of photos. I think I was getting to bed pretty reasonable time, kind of 11ish. So I lucked out a bit, or got lucky there.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, not 2 a.m. Cannonball's definitely 2 a.m. each morning for 4 mornings in a row, and then you wake up at 7 and you're back up on the hill at 8.
Yeah. It's a good time.
All in good fun. Yeah, I miss it. Keen for this year.
I must admit, I don't know if you saw Ryan Finlay out on the hill at Nationals, but he definitely had a big week of work. That's for sure.
God, yeah. I think he had a good holiday afterwards.
Yeah.
I was talking to him. He's like, I haven't. Before national champs, he put the camera down for a few days. I think he said, just to kind of get away with it, get away from it, and then probably after national champs, he certainly put it down. After national champs, I didn't touch my camera for a week and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
It's just like that much time with that big brick in your hands. You're like, oh, I just need to sit down, have a mini holiday, ride my bike again.
Yeah.
Forget about all the stresses.
Actually ride your bike.
Actually ride your bike instead of watching people ride theirs.
Do you ever find that kind of hard to deal with? Like you're so stoked on riding and stuff, but all you do is end up shooting it.
Not really.
Like,
Certainly at national champs, I wish I brought my bike because I got there the Monday before the event, and everyone's there with their bikes, and I'm like, didn't bring mine, but I could have gone for a few laps and shot some stuff further up the hill, and that I didn't have to hike to. But I don't know, like at events like Cannonball and national champs, when I don't have a chance to ride a bike, I certainly don't miss riding
yeah.
that much because you're still like surrounded by bikes and surrounded by the people that you usually ride with or that you're usually around. So I usually don't miss riding bikes that much. And even then, when I do get home from big events like that, I sometimes still don't touch my bike just because it's like I just need to get away for a minute, think about something else, go on some hikes or something and sit in front of the waterfalls.
Yeah. Get away from like the whole industry for a week or two.
Yeah.
Definitely feel you on that one.
Yeah.
What was like a day for you at nationals like?
So usually I think I was awake just on 7. I'd have breakfast, have coffee. I think I was usually have a very fiber-filled breakfast because they keep you a bit fuller for longer. So then I usually skip out on lunch.
Yep.
Make sure all the batteries are charged. I've got memory card in my camera. Good test I do before I walk out the door is I turn my camera on and make sure that the numbers where your memory card is come up and that your battery's not flashing at you. Make sure I've got all my gear, shoes on, and walking into champs. I was getting there kind of just before 8, which most mornings events weren't kicking off till 8:30, 9ish. So I'd walk around the pits, have a chat to people, and kind of wake up a bit more. And then from 9, it was kind of all hands on deck, getting shuttles, walking down, shooting everything, and so I'd shoot XC some days, downhill the other days, just to cover for A and B as well, because they wanted both events or the whole entire event shot.
Yep.
I'd be up on the hill. I'd have snacks with me, of course. Be up on the hill for 6-7 hours most days. Maybe come back to the pits for a quick stop off, refill water, get back up on the hill. Be shooting 9 till I think shuttle stopped at 4:35ish.
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah.
A couple afternoons would spend some time around the pits doing some other stuff, but especially with downhill, when it hits 4:30 and it's last shuttle and everyone's home, everyone just goes home or they go to the beer garden and drink beer. So that was most afternoons, getting home at kind of 6ish, cook up some quick feed. I think I was having hamburgers or something, just something quick and easy to chuck on, cook that, eat that real quick, and then offload photos, back photos up, and then just sorting through photos and editing for 4 to 6 hours each night. Yeah.
It's pretty brutal.
It's big days.
And I guess the good thing with Medina though is like the commute time was 0. So well, it was for me anyway. So
I was staying probably about 2 minutes down the road. It took me about 2 minutes to walk to Medina.
Yeah.
Which was real good. And so getting like some days I'd come back to the house, offload photos, back them up, just so if I had a spare hour in the middle of the day, I'd go and do a little bit of work so I had less work to do later in the evening so I could go to bed at a more reasonable time so I wasn't too exhausted the next day. But you're going to be exhausted anyway, so you just deal with it and push on, and it's all fun, and you just get into I just get into the mood of taking photos and being around awesome people and being at an awesome event, that I just wasn't really tired. It didn't really catch up with me until a few days after I got home, and I was like, oh, right, now I'm tired, pretty exhausted.
Yeah, you don't have time to be tired.
No, yeah, exactly right. No. And people don't expect you to be tired.
Yeah, you can't be. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. Mum said no.
The brutal come down afterwards was, I was.
Yeah, how were you like after national champs?
We got sick. Like
Yeah.
pretty much everyone that came back to Adelaide got sick.
Yeah.
I reckon it's because they kept us in this silly line at the COVID like check-in thing.
Oh,
It took usually takes like 5 minutes to get out of the airport here. It took 45 minutes to get from the aeroplane to the baggage. So
I think it took me about 45 seconds to walk out of Canberra Airport.
nah. The SA Gov site went down, so we were stuck in like an isolated room with like 150 people just all around you, like just
coughing.
I mean, we had masks on and stuff, but it was just ridiculous.
Yeah. Wow.
So pretty much everyone from Adelaide that went over got sick coming home if they flew. So
wow. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, my legs definitely hurt. My legs were killing me after that week.
Another thing. Hey, hiking around for 5 to 6 days, you kind of get home and you stop moving your legs, and they're like, "Oh, we're not happy today."
Yeah,
everything hurts.
And I guess we're pretty similar to you. Like we don't have steep hills, so like you're not used to walking up that thing every day.
Yeah. Certainly not carrying around 15 kilos of camera gear as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I go to the gym.
Yeah.
Training so I can hike up and down hills.
Just on the treadmill with your camera bag?
Yeah. People at my gym find it a bit weird, but if they knew.
Yeah, they don't know your struggles. That's a pretty hectic schedule. Do you ever have you ever lost like photos and stuff, or had big like issues in an event like that?
Not for a while, I don't believe. Maybe a couple times, like forgetting to charge batteries overnight. That's why you always carry a spare. So you chuck your spare in, chuck your other one on charge, come back to it. Maybe when I used to run smaller memory cards, kind of running out of space, and then you start shooting before you format your yesterday's stuff, and suddenly you're running low on space, and you can't format now because you've already shot a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
On the current day. One time, Mount Beauty National Champs, which would have been 2016. It was in between a bunch of rounds at Bright. 2016 or 2017. I had one of my memory cards corrupt on me after a day, and
Sick.
that was a freak out moment. Knew a few people around the scene by then. Spoke to a few mates, and then was friends with Ryan Finlay, and he helped me out massive with that one. He took me back to his laptop, and he's like, "Oh, I've got this data recovery software." Turns out pretty well. We saw that the photos were there, and so he's like, "Just don't format your card. If you format your card after it's corrupted, you lose absolutely everything, and there's pretty much zero chance of ever getting it back. So just put that card aside, got home, and then run it through this recovery software and got most of the photos back without any hassle." But after a few of those kind of experiences, I'm pretty careful or pretty mindful and make sure you've got battery charge and your cards are matted in your camera and you've got spares of everything and all that Murphy's Law kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because if it's going to go wrong, it's definitely going to go wrong on that busiest day.
It will go wrong.
What are you kind of carrying in your camera bag for what equipment you
got? Usually
all the camera nerds out there.
Usually with mountain biking, 1 to 2 cameras. So at the moment, that's a Canon 1DX Mark II, and a second camera for events mainly is a 5D Mark III. Lenses usually keep, if I'm running two cameras, I'll usually keep a 72 to 200 2.8 on the 1DX and just leave that on all day. And then on the 5D, switch between a 2470 2.8 or a 15mm Sigma fisheye I'm running at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe certainly like to at Cannonball because it's a very kind of it's much more of a pit focused event as well because there's all of your vendors and all your teams are right there at the bottom of the chairlift. So I usually carry something like a 35 1.4 prime lens to get some of those real shallow depth of field kind of pit photos as well. Big fan of those. But yeah, mainly two cameras, three lenses, fisheye, wide angle, zoom lens.
You don't have to overcomplicate it, hey?
No, you really don't. And certainly events like Cannonball, you're on a bike as well, riding down hills. So you want to keep your camera pack light so you're not having to deal with a heavy bag while you're riding a bike down a hill because everything's expensive. So usually run a pretty minimalist kind of kit for that kind of thing. Hiking, I'm not too stressed about weight because it's kind of like you need this stuff to shoot, so you might as well have it with you. But yeah.
And what do you change much up for like your commercial work? Like if you're out shooting, say like an ad or something like Sean or some of those crew, are you taking extra kit out, or is it pretty much always the same?
Pretty much the same kind of kit. I've got a few flash units, running some Godox, what is it, an AD 400 Pro for the camera nerds. It's kind of like a portable studio light and also a Godox speed light for on top of your camera. So if a job requires some kind of real nice clean flash kind of stuff, I'll take that stuff out, but it rarely sees the light from, or rarely sees mountain biking, the flash kit. That's usually very kind of more commercial, non-mountain biking stuff, and just keep to the natural light and plan ahead and usually just shoot at sunset every single day. Yeah. Not at midday or sunrise. Yeah, but it's mainly the same kind of kit and all your other spares as well. A couple spare batteries. Allen keys always, or Allen multi-tools were always a good idea to carry because you mount your talent on their bikes don't have multi-tools, and when something goes loose halfway through a shoot, they need to tighten something. You need to tighten it. So having tools with you is always a good idea, and memory cards, cleaning kit, like a microfiber and a dust blower kind of thing. Yeah,
for sure. Something always goes wrong on a pro's bike as well. It's never died.
Yeah, because they never look after them too.
No, you just ride the things. You don't have to maintain them. Like a Hilux.
It's gonna go anyway.
Yeah,
she'll be right.
Who's your kind of favorite rider that you've shot with?
Wow. Certainly shooting with your Hearns is a lot of fun because we're all like Sean, Kai and I are all pretty close friends. So we have a lot of fun while we shoot, but then also like they're both so talented that if I had an idea of do some awkward turn bar or ride this awkward section, they'd both be like, yep, okay. And that's always really good. Dave McMillan, just absolutely so effortlessly talented and stylish on a bike. That's really awesome. And really just, I really like being around people who are fun to be around as well. Like that don't take the job too seriously. Like you're obviously there to both do a job, but having a bit of fun while you're at it and enjoying it a bit more and enjoying the moment. It's always good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a business meeting in a boardroom.
No.
Yeah.
You're up in the hills basking in some sunset light, riding bikes. It's pretty epic.
What's like the hardest shoot you've had to do you reckon?
One that comes to mind was a Tasmania trip I did for A&B in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a week after I got back from that Italy holiday I was talking about. While I was in Italy, they're like, "Oh, can you go to Tasmania?" I'm like, "I'm on holiday." No.
Sure.
Sure. I was essentially like, "Yep, I'm done. Yeah, I'm in it." Um, yeah, that was 11 or 12 days of shooting every single day, 10 hours each day, editing each night. I was pretty well exhausted after a week of it and still had 5 days to go of it, and certainly caught up with me the day after. But I suppose the pressure's always on with new clients because you want to make sure you do your best work so that you keep that client. But of course, you're going to do your best work because it's just what you do anyway. Yeah, there's not many other shoots recently that have been that much of a challenge, as braggy as that sounds, but
Yeah.
kind of just getting out there and having fun with it and shooting some cool photos, and the clients mostly always happy with it.
Do you have like a favorite photo or favorite project you've ever done?
Certainly, the photo we shot for the inside of the Trek store I was talking about at the start.
Yeah.
That was a really cool photo. That was last year in October. Heaps of Patterson's Curse around, spring sunset, couple riders. Like that photo is still my desktop background because it's just like one of my favorite photos I've ever taken. And but yeah, like most shoots, I have a favorite photo, I guess. One that I kind of hold on to, and I ask other writers or the talent in them to hold on to them because I want to make it something special and figure out what I want to kind of do with it as well.
Yeah.
Certainly when it's outside of the magazine, product reviews and shooting for that. But yeah.
Do you ever find it like difficult to take a different product photo?
Yes. Yeah.
Like I had to shoot 4 breaks this week, like 4 different sets of breaks, and I'm not complaining, but holy shit, was it hard to make them look
how do you make that different? Certainly, like at the magazine, we do a lot of bike reviews, and they kind of want the same like bike check kind of photos of what the parts, like the bike check photos, and trying to make those unique every time is certainly a bit of a struggle. I like to, like, while I have the bike, do some stuff with flash, like kind of at dusk where the light's real soft and dark. Maybe a bit of pink in the sky, or there's a nice kind of environment where I'm at, some deserted warehouse or something. And I like to try and find new locations every time for that. It has gotten to the point where I'm struggling to find new locations that I just keep recycling old ones.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's definitely hard. Hey, like I guess like for me as well, I don't know. Like I just see so much content from bikes as well. Like
yeah,
you just see so many of the same photo. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
definitely. And like, I'm sure you've had it with your local trails or wherever you normally shoot, but like it's for me, it's a bit difficult to find new angles in locations I've been to 100 times before. So much so that you kind of just recycle on old angles or make them a little bit different, or just go to a different section of the mountain at a different time of day, just so it's something different there. And
especially if they've used if this trail's been used for 900 videos before, even if it's not yours, like it's hard to make it so
Yeah.
much different.
And that's it as well. And that's like coming back to kind of shooting like national champs and big events and Cannonball. It's kind of like you can't, if you see a photo from another photographer, it's kind of bad etiquette to go and replicate it the next day.
Yeah.
Just if it's a cool photo and you want to take it. It's a little bit different shooting a downhill finish line or something because you're all huddled up into the same little 1 foot square that you're going to get the same photos, but it's just how do you make them a little bit different from the other people around you that you kind of either stand out or it's just different.
Yeah. It always reminds like that. I don't know if you ever saw that raw footage of like all the cameramen at one of those World Cups, like standing next to the jumps.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just saw that and I'm like, come on. It's just weird.
Yeah, it's and that was something I noticed in Whistler was that's like very true in that they all huddle around the same kind of area because they've got different clients, but they need the same angle, I suppose. So it's not like they're all mad at each other for copying the angle. They just kind of acknowledge that that's just what they have to do to
Yeah.
the job.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just always like those photographers.
Yeah. It always looks very funny though, hey?
Yeah. I think it's like Funked, Phunkt on Instagram.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff he comes up with is just great.
Beeline Bandits or something, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met Funked in Whistler as well. He's a really good bloke.
I think they all are.
Yeah,
It's such a good scene.
Yeah.
Were
Definitely.
you like, did you have like a I've made it moment when you started meeting all those crew?
Definitely when they started to kind of, I guess, treat me more as a friend.
Yeah.
Not this like young kid that's trying to take photos, and they were having chats to me about all of this other stuff. And like Boris was really easy to talk to because he works with Canyon, knows Kai, so do I. So we'd maybe have little chats about Canyon team and all of that. And but yeah, like when they started kind of treating you as if you're their own, which it's not like they were disrespecting me at all, but once they kind of invited me into their little huddle, that was a wow, this is real
Yeah.
kind of moment.
Definitely seems like a rad moment, especially with Boris.
Yeah, he's an absolute character, Boris. I do.
Yeah, he's one of the best humans on this earth by far.
Yeah, you had a good chat to him a while ago, didn't you?
Yeah. Still do. Still like likes all my photos, which is so damn weird.
Yeah. When it comes to Mad Dog Boris like your photo, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, what's going on here? Speaking of Instagram and names, I think first time I saw your Instagram handle was
no. Yeah.
when was it? It was like someone told me like might have been Kieran Volk.
Oh yeah, Keza.
Or someone that had a photo and they wanted you, and it's like Waygood Photo on Instagram. I'm like, God damn, this guy's got tickets on himself. Like,
I wonder, is that what people genuinely think when they first see my name?
I don't know. I was like, no way is he like,
Yeah.
Like, you know how you have those kids like Instagrams and stuff. Like, it's sick that they're putting out content and stuff, but sometimes it's like fully sick photo or extreme kid photo or something real weird.
Or Waygood Photo.
And then you have Waygood Photo. I'm like, no way.
Yeah. I certainly, even before mountain biking in school, people are like, Waygood's not your last name. And it took me a lot of convincing to be like, well, actually, apparently it is. Like, it says it on my birth certificate, it says it on my driver license, it says it on my parents' mortgage of this house. Like, apparently it's my real name. I'm just going to go with it. Yeah.
It's pretty high expectation to live up to, like straight from when you're born.
Yeah. I certainly never thought that much of it before coming a photographer.
Yeah.
Or yeah. And I suppose just through time, it kind of became such a thing that, hey, I am Waygood, but not like Waygood. I'm just Waygood.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate being real braggy about it, but
Yeah. You kind of have to live up to it now.
yeah, I have to live up to it. And I'd like to think maybe I get clients sometimes because they see my last name and they're like, "Oh, Waygood, you must be good at your job." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, let's find out."
It's got to be a bit of an icebreaker sometimes, eh?
Yeah. Those
So,
good.
yeah, it's just too good. It's just so good, you know?
So good, Waygood.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's for you, Sean.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned school. I remember like there was someone in my class called Luke Guess, and he used to get in so much trouble from all the teachers because they'd be like, "What's your last name?" And he'd just be like, "Guess," and it took him so long to realize like that's his actual name.
Oh no, that poor child.
Oh, it was so bad. And then yeah,
That could be similar to my kind of first experiences with it. And
yeah,
some of my just like, oh, my name's Waygood. No, it's not.
nah, yeah.
It's not.
Need to see a license.
It's probably Nick.
It's might start wrapping things up a little bit here. What advice would you give to any of those young kids with those Instagram names, or anyone that looks like they want to get into photography? Like, what advice would you give them to, I guess, get into it from the start and then maybe take it professional in the future?
Just do it. Had a kid who I loosely knew locally through a friend, and he came up to me like, "How do I do it?" And it's like, seriously, like all I did when I started was that I just had my iPod, group of friends. Everyone's got a group of friends out riding bikes. You start taking photos. Just start doing it. You very quickly realize whether you like riding bikes or you like taking photos, or even if bikes aren't your thing, and you want to do a street photography or you want to do wedding photography or whatever, it's kind of just a case of just go out and do it. You don't need a whole lot to start. Certainly these days, you just need your mobile phone and the willingness to learn. And you can definitely learn a lot of the basics online in your 1 minute YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get out and do it. Don't be afraid to, because certainly, like when I started, I was certainly a little bit afraid to just go to these big events and start taking photos. But it's just how you do it. No one hates you for being there because you're a young kid with a camera. And I certainly like seeing these new photographers, new young kids with big dreams and small cameras come out and just taking photos for fun of it.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah, and I guess getting into it comes down to, with mountain biking, definitely going to events and meeting people, and just talking and meeting new people, taking photos, uploading them to Instagram, maybe tagging the rider in them. It's a bit of a like a how do I phrase it? Like, you don't want to go giving photos away, of course. And a good way not to do that is to sell rider photos to riders. And riders are always looking for photos. But certainly, like how I started, you got to be kind of mindful that there are other photographers out there who do make money from it, and you don't want to undermine their work. But yeah, and again, that, like, getting into it professionally just comes down to actually doing it. Whether you still work at the bar or at Target or whatever, and just loading shelves, just get out on your weekends, and everyone's got local club events and local bike trails these days as well. It's such a growing big sport now. But yeah, just going out, and eventually you'll hit that moment that it's kind of like you've taught yourself enough that you're taking pretty good photos.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience, that like when you're just uploading to Instagram and you're geotagging or whatever, or you're tagging writers in photos.
Yeah.
There's a little pooch.
Getting excited.
Good to hear you back. Where was I? Yeah, just eventually you get noticed by a brand or a bike park management page, and they're like, "Hey, this is really cool. Like, can we buy this, or can we do something with it?" And that's a real easy way to get into it. And Instagram makes that so easy. It's just being mindful that there are other photographers out there trying to actually make a living and pay for their fuel every week.
Yeah, exactly. Instagram's definitely made it way easier too. I mean, after that little bike check I did with Connor and something I did with Jackson Frew, like the guys from Race Only Springs just like reach out by Instagram. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like it's such a weird experience now.
Yeah. And I bet for you that was like, why is this happening? But it's happening because you just went out and did it as well. Like you obviously, like you go to races, you meet these pro athletes, and you're like, hey, can I take a video or do a photo with you or do a podcast with you? And it just snowballs and grows into something that can become sustainable, or just grows into something that is a hobby that you do for fun and go to races, have a good time.
It's definitely a sick kind of part of the industry. Like I think it's one of the best for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you regret anything over the last few years about photography or anything? Not leaving the bar job earlier, or drinking too much at the bar job before photography?
I was a professional alcoholic at the bar job. No. I don't know. You always kind of have these things that happen to you, which is nearly a way of life, that it's like experiences that just help you learn and help you grow. And it's not like I regret some of those experiences, but they happen, you learn from it, you grow from it, and you kind of move on from it. And you just keep on becoming a better form of yourself through these slightly regrettable decisions you've made, whether that's like underselling yourself or maybe doing the wrong thing, having kind of bad etiquette, and having to learn very quickly not to have bad etiquette toward other people, and just certainly being nice to people is a very big thing, because everyone in the industry and everyone locally just talks to each other and don't want to hear yourself getting bad-mouthed. And but no, certainly not. I certainly don't regret any kind of decisions. Definitely don't regret leaving bar job, even though the bar job was a whole lot of fun. Yeah.
Cool. Last question, always the hardest. When you're 16 hours deep into a workday and you don't want to get up and do some more editing on Photoshop, what music do you listen to get motivated?
Do you want to listen to something?
I heard it before. No.
You've heard it before. During editing days, I like to listen to kind of upbeat EDM style music, just because it kind of, I feel that the higher beats kind of keeps me a bit more focused. But then at the end of the day, a bit of country doesn't go astray.
Jeez, you can't.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of different music.
Yeah.
If I'm at the gym, I certainly listen to a lot of kind of pop punk music.
Yeah, okay.
Back in high school, just something dramatic and something completely different to what I listen to every other day.
Yeah.
Through the day. Hip hop definitely doesn't go astray, but I usually listen to a bit of hip hop during editing sessions as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot of post end of the day stuff is just very either soothing or pumping iron at the gym and listening to Paramore.
Getting swole.
Getting swole.
Are you training with Sean?
No, because she's so much stronger than I am. I could not train with her. No, she certainly helped me out a lot when I wanted to get into the gym. She kind of taught me a few things, but we go to separate gyms and keep up to date of if I'm doing the right movements and have everything, and whether I could be doing something different to keep on growing muscles, getting swole. But nah, she's her workouts are way too intense for me. Even her bike riding's too intense for me. I can't keep up with her.
She's so nice and chill off the bike. Outside of it, and it's just like an animal. Yeah, and the country music is obviously the influence from them, or something to do with Canberra water, or I don't know.
Something like that. There was a few other friends that listen to a lot of country music, and we went on a little holiday end of last year, and in his full drive, and he just blasted country music the whole time, and he's like, "You're not going to hate country music by the end of this," and I didn't. So
that's so Even like Mike Ross was like a country dude as well, which is like, what is his cowboy hat? It's definitely something up in your area. I'm telling you.
Yes, yeah. One day you'll stop hating on country too.
Probably not. Yeah, nah. I don't hate it. I just don't get it.
You just don't.
I like all music, but yeah.
Why are all the songs about whiskey, girls, or four-wheel drive utes?
And there are other instruments than banjos and acoustic guitars. Like you can do something more. And like the whole band, it's all acoustic guitars. Like you have 7 singers up on this thing, and they're all playing acoustics.
And it all just sounds like a cat dying.
Yeah, I get it. It seems like a bunch of fun. If I was drunk and added country concert, it does look like a bunch of fun. I won't lie.
So when are we having a party?
Party?
A country party. When's the next after party at Maydena replacing country music?
A sea otter. It's in Canberra. It's in the home of country.
I'll see you in Canberra. We'll have a bit of a. I know the boys up at Handlebar too. They're not afraid of a rave, so we'll have a bit of a country music.
Have a hoedown after sea otter.
Miley Cyrus thrown in there.
Oh, it's gonna be epic. Well, that's a good note to end on.
Yeah.
The sea otter hoedown.
Yeah.
When is it? October?
6 months away. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Post winter.
Easy, man. Well, thanks so much for the chat. It's been good.
Worries. Thank you. That was good. Good fun.
Yeah. Thanks for all your support.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for asking me to do this. Hopefully, I gave a bit of insight and a bit of stories, and
I think it was good. Yeah. I think a few people will bust out their iPods and start taking some photos.
Yeah, definitely. And listening to country music.
No.
Well, I
do not recommend. It's a public service announcement.
Don't listen to country music.
Easy, man. Well, yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for your time. And we'll chat again soon.
I'll chat to you soon. Have a good one.
See you, man.
See ya.